Hello, my name is Harry, and welcome again to A Senior's Perspective with a Twist. Today's subject is concerning standards, guidelines. Some might even call them rules. I'm speaking from a senior who has seen many things, and yet I I think that in some ways, don't know a whole lot that I should know, even with the years that I've lived. What I'm basically saying is that myself and many others, people in their 70s, 80s, 90s, even fail to totally grasp standards and guidelines, rules that were given to us by a higher power. And I'm going to be plain with you. That power is God. What I'm going to say about standards and guidelines, rules, is that we as a civilization have gotten away from the basics. And as a result, we have many, many problems on our plate, uh, daily issues. What is going on is that people who have lived, as I said, a number of years, many, many decades, should be advising, educating, and imploring those who are coming behind us not to forget the standards, the guidelines that we have been given by that higher power. Some people don't want to live. They choose not to live by the guidelines that were here long before we got here. I could say centuries, but it actually goes longer than that. Thousands of years. We as a civilization, as a society, as communities, have chosen our own way, and as a result, we are facing many dilemmas today because of choices. The younger generation, we're seeing this today, are making choices that are not really good for them and for society. As a result of choosing to live the way we want to live or they want to live, we're facing many new problems. Whether or not really new, they've sort of picked up steam in the times that we live in. What people don't seem to understand is that the guidelines that were instituted, the standards, the rules that were instituted by that higher power, they actually keep communities and society safe. They keep us productive and they keep us healthy, not only physically, but emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. As a result of some people, wanting to change these rules, these standards that were given by the higher power, that being God, damage has been going on, is being collected by these choices that are being made. Confusion of many is the result, not only in our laws, but psychologically, mentally, and especially spiritually. All we have to do if we really want to know about when people change standards and when they change guidelines and rules, all we got to do is look back at history. History is full of lessons, examples that we as people should have learned from, but it seems like we haven't learned. And as a result, there's so much and so many questions that are going on today. People are second guessing what was already instituted and has worked for many, many people. Some people do these changes because they want to, because they are led by their emotions, they are led by their personal desires to do whatever it is that they choose to do, ignoring standards and ignoring guidelines, ignoring rules that have kept communities, societies, nations in check. But when we choose to go our own way, then we get these problems that exist throughout communities, throughout states, throughout countries, all over the world. Some are doing worse than others. Some is more evident in some countries, seeing people changing standards and changing guidelines to live by, changing rules that was instituted by God, the higher power. As I said, damages have been incurred by many communities, many states, many cities. So, speaking from a senior's perspective, I can see by the lessons that I've seen in history, by the lessons I've seen over the decades that I have been living, I've seen a lot of behaviors. I've seen a lot of breaking of guidelines and standards. And as a result, communities, people suffer. We're not suffering because those guidelines didn't work. We're suffering because we didn't align ourselves to obey those standards and those guidelines. So I see trouble on the horizon. And any people, any person who disrespects, who disregards the guidelines that have been set in place, that group of people or persons is asking for trouble. And trouble will arise as it has in our communities, in our states, in our cities, in our nation. The trouble's already here. So, what I'm saying as a senior, I'm giving good advice. I'm giving a senior's perspective on what I see going on around me and in and out of our communities, in our states, in our nation, and even all over the world, because people have chosen not to obey the standards that have been set in place by God. His guidelines and his rules are not to be disrespected. They are not to be disobeyed. When they are, you can look for trouble. And that's what we have. So much commotion, so much confusion, because people simply want to do their own thing. They're not interested in what the higher power has said. They want to do their own thing by changing laws, changing rules, and then living their lives the way they want to, as if they don't have a higher power to answer to. That is what I wanted to get off of my chest, so to speak, about what I see concerning standards, guidelines, and rules that have been instituted long ago by the higher power. And that higher power is God. Yes, there is a God. Whether we say there is one or not, there is a God. So thank you for your time and listening, and I pray and hope that you have a good day. Also, if you like the program, we ask that you would hit that subscribe button. If you have a comment that you want to make, whether it's favorable to what I said or whether it's unfavorable, I still welcome your comments. And I say thank you again for tuning in. God bless.